My name is Waverly Hart, and I'm sitting in a lawyer's office in Greenwich, Connecticut, watching my mother smile like she's already won. The office belongs to Eleanor Price, a woman in her late 50s with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and reading glasses perched on the edge of her nose. Her desk is polished mahogany, the kind that costs more than most people's cars. Behind her, floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Greenwich Avenue, where BMWs and Range Rovers glide past boutiques with names I can't pronounce. My parents sit across from me. My father, Gerald, wears a navy suit that still fits the way it did 20 years ago. My mother, Patricia, is dressed in cream, tasteful, elegant, the kind of woman who looks like she belongs in rooms like this. And beside her, my sister Serena, 29 years old, blonde highlights freshly done, wearing a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. Eleanor clears her throat. As you know, we're here to review the distribution of your Uncle Thomas Hart's estate. The will is straightforward, but there are a few documents that need to be signed before we can proceed. She slides a folder across the desk toward me. I don't reach for it. What documents? I ask. My mother's smile tightens. Waverly, don't make this difficult. Eleanor doesn't look at my mother. She keeps her gaze on me. The primary assets are the family home in Old Greenwich and approximately $400,000 in liquid accounts. According to the amendment filed 3 months ago, these assets are to be allocated to Serena Hart. The room goes still. I look at my sister. She's staring at the folder like it's a gift she's been waiting for her entire life. And what do I get? I ask quietly. Eleanor flips open the folder. A collection of personal items, photographs, a few pieces of furniture, and a small cash token of $5,000. $5,000. For a house worth over $1,400,000 in cash. I feel something cold settle in my chest. Uncle Thomas left me $5,000. He left you what was appropriate, my mother says. Her voice is soft, but there's steel underneath. Serena has been the one who stayed close to the family, Waverly. She's the one who visited him. She's the one who... I visited him, I interrupt. Every month, for 2 years. My mother waves her hand like I'm being dramatic. Well, Thomas clearly felt that Serena was better suited to manage the estate. And frankly, given your situation, I think this is for the best. My situation. Code for the fact that I'm 32, single, and work as a mid-level project manager at a consulting firm in Stamford, instead of living the kind of life my parents can brag about at country club dinners. I look at Eleanor. Can I see the amendment? She hesitates, then slides a single sheet of paper across the desk. I scan it quickly. The language is clean, professional, and dated 3 months ago, 2 weeks after my uncle went into hospice care. Who requested this amendment? I ask. Eleanor glances at my mother. Your parents brought the request to me on behalf of Thomas. On behalf of, not from. I look at my father. He won't meet my eyes. Dad, I say, did Uncle Thomas ask for this change, or did you? Serena shifts in her seat. My mother leans forward. Waverly, your uncle was very sick. He wasn't in a position to handle paperwork. We were simply helping him finalize his wishes. His wishes, I repeat slowly. Or yours. Patricia's face hardens. I don't appreciate your tone. Eleanor interrupts. Before anyone signs, there's one more thing. She reaches into a drawer and pulls out a sealed envelope. The paper is cream-colored, expensive, with my uncle's handwriting across the front in faded blue ink. To be read aloud in the event of dispute or coercion. My mother goes very still. Eleanor looks at me. Your uncle left specific instructions. If anyone attempted to redirect his estate without proper consultation, this letter was to be read immediately. I meet her eyes, then read it. Before I tell you what was in that letter, Where are you watching from? Drop your city and state in the comments. And if family betrayal stories like this hit different for you, go ahead and hit like and subscribe right now, because what happens next is going to shock you. I didn't always know I was the expendable one. That realization came slowly, in pieces, like a puzzle I didn't want to finish. When I was 7, Serena got the bigger bedroom. My parents said it was because she was older and needed more space for her things. When I was 12, Serena got piano lessons and horseback riding and a trip to Paris for her 16th birthday. I got a gift card to Target and a lecture about being grateful. When I was 18 and applying to colleges, my father sat me down at the kitchen table and told me that they'd be covering Serena's tuition at NYU, but I'd need to figure out my own path. He said it gently, like he was doing me a favor, teaching me independence. I went to community college. Then I transferred to a state school and graduated with $30,000 in student loans. Serena graduated debt-free and moved into a condo in Tribeca that my parents helped her buy. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was building something on my own, something that didn't depend on their approval or their money. But here's the thing about being the overlooked child. You spend your whole life trying to prove you're worth noticing. And no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you accomplish, it's never enough. Uncle Thomas was different. He was my father's younger brother, a quiet man who never married and spent most of his life working as an engineer for a manufacturing company in Bridgeport. He wasn't flashy. He didn't throw money around, but he noticed things. When I graduated college, he was the only one who showed up. He sat in the audience wearing a suit that was slightly too big for him and clapped louder than anyone else when my name was called. Afterward, he took me to dinner at a little Italian place near campus and handed me an envelope with a check for $1,000. "For your future," he said. "Whatever that looks like." I cried in the bathroom afterward because no one in my family had ever said that to me before. For the next 10 years, Uncle Thomas and I stayed close. I visited him once a month at his house in Old Greenwich, a modest 2-story colonial with a backyard full of hydrangeas and a porch where we'd sit and drink iced tea. He'd ask me about work, about my life, about whether I was happy. He never asked about Serena. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with cancer. Pancreatic. Stage 4. The doctors gave him 6 months, but he held on for nearly 2 years, stubborn and quiet until the end. I was there the day he went into hospice. I held his hand and told him I loved him. He squeezed my fingers and whispered, "You're going to be fine, Waverly. Better than fine." 3 months later, my parents called me and said there was a family meeting scheduled with Eleanor Price. They didn't tell me why. They just said it was important and that I needed to be there. And now I'm sitting in this office, staring at a letter that might be the only thing standing between me and losing everything my uncle wanted me to have. Eleanor opens the envelope carefully, like she's disarming a bomb. She unfolds the paper inside and adjusts her glasses. "This letter was written and notarized 6 months before Thomas Hart's death," she says. "It was delivered to me with explicit instructions." My mother's hands are clenched in her lap. "Serena won't look at me." Eleanor begins to read. "To whom it may concern." If this letter is being read, it means someone has tried to take what I left to Waverly Hart. I am writing this while I am of sound mind and body, with full knowledge of what I am doing. Waverly is the only member of my family who has treated me with consistent kindness and respect. She is the only one who visited me without asking for anything in return. If my estate has been redirected to anyone else, particularly under the guise of acting on my behalf, I want it known that this was done without my consent and against my wishes. Eleanor pauses. The silence in the room is suffocating. She continues. In the event of such interference, I have instructed Eleanor Price to present the second document, a trust instrument that supersedes any amendments made after the date of this letter. Waverly Hart is the sole beneficiary of that trust. I feel my heartbeat in my throat. Eleanor sets the letter down and pulls another folder from her desk. The trust was established 4 years ago. It includes the old Greenwich property and all liquid assets. No amendments can override it. My mother's face has gone pale. Serena's mouth is open, frozen mid-breath. Eleanor looks directly at me. Waverly, the house and the money are yours. They always were. For a long moment, no one speaks. Eleanor Price sits behind her desk, with her hands folded, calm and professional, like she hasn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of a family that's been lying to itself for decades. My mother is staring at the trust document like it's written in a language she doesn't understand. My father has gone very still, the way he always does when he doesn't know how to fix something. And Serena is looking at me like I've stolen something that was hers. That can't be right, my mother says finally. Her voice is thin, strained. Thomas was confused at the end. He didn't know what he was doing. Eleanor doesn't blink. The trust was established 4 years ago, Mrs. Hart. Long before his illness progressed. It was notarized, witnessed, and filed with my firm. It is legally binding. But the amendment, Serena starts, is void, Eleanor says. Any changes made after the trust was executed cannot override its terms. The house and the liquid assets belong to Waverly. I should feel triumphant. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel tired. My mother turns to me. Waverly, you have to understand. We thought we were doing what was best for the family. Serena needs stability. She's been struggling. And we thought... You thought you'd take what Uncle Thomas left me and give it to her. I finish, without asking me, without telling me. We were going to explain, my father says quietly. We just needed you to sign first. I laugh. It's a short, bitter sound. So you were going to trick me into signing away my inheritance and then explain it afterward? Don't be dramatic, my mother snaps. We weren't tricking you. We were simplifying a complicated situation. Complicated how? I look at Serena. What's so complicated about honoring a dying man's wishes? Serena's face flushes. I didn't know about the trust. I thought the amendment was legitimate. Did you? I lean forward. Or did you just not ask questions because you liked the answer? Waverly, my father starts. No, I cut him off. I want to hear it from her. Did you know Uncle Thomas wanted me to have the house? Serena looks at our mother, then back at me. I knew he was close to you, but Mom said he changed his mind at the end. She said he wanted me to have it because I was better suited to manage it. Better suited. The same words my mother used 10 minutes ago. I pull out my phone and scroll to a folder I created 2 years ago. It's labeled Uncle Thomas, and it's full of photos, texts, and voicemails. I find what I'm looking for and hold up the screen. This is a text Uncle Thomas sent me 8 months ago, I say. Waverly, I've made sure you're taken care of. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. My mother's jaw tightens. I scroll to another message. This one is from 6 months ago. The house is yours, kid. I already put it in writing. Eleanor leans forward slightly. May I see those? I hand her my phone. She reads the messages, then looks at my mother. Mrs. Hart, were you aware your brother-in-law had communicated his intentions to Waverly directly? My mother's face is a mask. He was sentimental. He said a lot of things. He put it in writing, I say, multiple times. And you knew that, didn't you? Silence. You knew, I continue, and you tried to bury it anyway. You filed an amendment when he was dying and couldn't defend himself. You brought me here today thinking I'd just sign and walk away, because I always do. Because I'm the easy one, the one who doesn't make waves. My father finally speaks. Waverly, please, this doesn't have to be a fight. You're right, I say. It doesn't, because Uncle Thomas already won it for me. Here's my question. If you found proof your parents had been favoring one sibling for years and were about to screw you out of what you were legally owed, would you stay quiet to keep the peace, or would you fight back publicly? Comment A if you'd stay quiet, B if you'd fight. I really want to know what you'd do. Eleanor excuses herself to make copies of the trust document and the letter. She says it will take a few minutes. The moment she leaves, my mother turns on me. You're being selfish, she says. Her voice is low, controlled, but there's venom underneath. This family has supported you your entire life, and the one time we ask you to think about someone other than yourself, you throw it back in our faces. I stare at her. Supported me? You paid for Serena's college and told me to take out loans. You gave her a down payment on a condo and told me I needed to learn independence. You invited her to family vacations and told me there wasn't room. That's not fair, Serena says. You always make it sound like I didn't work for anything. Did you? I look at her. Did you work for the tuition money Mom and Dad gave you? Did you work for the $20,000 they gave you when you lost your job last year? Her face goes pale. You didn't know I knew about that, I say, but I did. Because I'm the one who heard Dad on the phone talking about how they needed to help Serena get back on her feet while I was eating ramen 4 nights a week to make rent. My father shifts in his chair. Waverly, your sister was going through a difficult time. And I wasn't? My voice cracks. I've been going through difficult times my entire life, and no one ever helped me. No one ever called to ask if I was okay. No one ever showed up. That's not true, my mother says. It is. I feel something breaking open inside me, something I've kept buried for years. When I graduated high school, you didn't come to the ceremony because you were taking Serena on a college tour. When I got my first apartment, you didn't help me move because you were redecorating Serena's condo. When I got promoted last year, I called to tell you, and you said, "That's nice, honey," and then spent 20 minutes talking about Serena's new boyfriend. My mother's face is tight. You're exaggerating. I'm not. I pull out my phone again. I have every text, every voicemail, every email. I kept them because I thought maybe one day I'd look back and realize I was wrong, that I was being too sensitive. But I wasn't. I scroll to a folder I labeled Family and start reading aloud. Text from Mom 2 years ago. Can't make it to your birthday dinner. Serena needs help with her resume. Text from Dad 18 months ago. Sorry we missed your work event. Serena's car broke down and we had to pick her up. Email from Mom 1 year ago. We're spending Christmas at Serena's new place. It's too small to host everyone, but we'll see you in January. I look up. You never saw me in January. You rescheduled 3 times and then stopped responding. My father looks at the floor. My mother's mouth is a thin line. Serena speaks quietly. I didn't know they were doing that. Yes, you did. I meet her eyes. You just didn't care. She flinches. Eleanor returns with a neat stack of papers. She sets them on the desk and looks at me. Waverly, these are your copies of the trust instrument, the letter, and the original will. Everything is in order. The house and the accounts are yours. Thank you, I say. Eleanor turns to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Hart, I need to ask, did you file the amendment knowing that a trust existed? My mother's face goes blank. I don't know what you mean. The trust was on file with this office for 4 years. When you requested the amendment, I informed you that any changes would need to be reviewed for conflicts. Did you disclose the trust at that time? Silence. Mrs. Hart, Eleanor says again, did you disclose the existence of the trust? My mother's voice is ice. I assumed the amendment would supersede it. You assumed, Eleanor repeats, or you hoped no one would check? My father finally speaks. Eleanor, we were trying to do what was best for both our daughters. By lying, I interrupt. By hiding the truth and hoping I'd be too stupid or too grateful to ask questions. We didn't lie, my mother says. I stand up. You told me Uncle Thomas changed his mind. You told me he wanted Serena to have the house. You filed an amendment while he was dying and couldn't defend himself. That's not a mistake, Mom. That's fraud. The word hangs in the air like smoke. Eleanor closes the folder. Waverly is correct. What you attempted today meets the legal definition of undue influence and possibly estate fraud. If Waverly chooses to pursue this further, there could be serious consequences. My mother's face drains of color. I look at Eleanor. What happens now? Now, she says, you decide what you want to do. The house is yours. The money is yours. Your uncle made sure of that. But what happens next is up to you. I pick up the stack of papers and hold them against my chest. I want everything that's mine. The house, the accounts, everything. My mother stands abruptly. Waverly, if you do this, you're choosing to destroy this family. I meet her eyes. No, Mom, you already did that. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. I leave Eleanor's office with the trust documents in my bag, and my mother's voice still ringing in my ears. You're choosing to destroy this family. But as I walk down Greenwich Avenue past the boutiques and the cafes where women in cashmere sip lattes that cost $12, I realize something. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped pretending the cracks weren't there. My phone buzzes. It's Serena. We need to talk. I don't reply. I keep walking until I reach my car, a 10-year-old Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door and a check engine light that's been on for 6 months. I sit in the driver's seat and stare at the steering wheel. The house in Old Greenwich is mine. $400,000 is mine. Everything Uncle Thomas wanted me to have is finally legally, undeniably mine. So why do I feel like I've just lost something? My phone buzzes again. This time, it's my father. Waverly, please call me. Your mother is very upset. I text back, I'm sure she is. Then I turn off my phone and drive. I don't go home. Instead, I drive to Old Greenwich and park in front of Uncle Thomas's house. The hydrangeas are still blooming in the front yard, pale blue and white, and the porch still has the same wicker furniture where we used to sit on summer evenings. The house looks exactly the way it did 2 years ago, before he got sick, before everything changed. I sit in my car and stare at it. This is mine now. This quiet, unassuming house with its modest yard and its faded shutters. This is what my mother tried to take from me. A knock on my window startles me. I look up and see Aunt Diane standing beside my car. She's my mother's younger sister, the one who never quite fit into the Palmer family mold. She's wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, and her gray hair is pulled back in a messy bun. I roll down the window. Aunt Diane, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, she smiles. But I think I already know. Can I sit with you? I unlock the passenger door. She climbs in and looks at the house. Thomas loved this place, she says quietly. He told me once that it was the only thing he ever owned that felt like his. He left it to me, I say, but Mom tried to give it to Serena. Aunt Diane nods slowly. I'm not surprised. You knew? Not the details, but I knew Patricia was planning something. She called me 3 months ago and asked if I thought it was fair for Thomas to leave everything to you. I told her it was his decision to make, not hers. She pauses. She didn't like that answer. I look at her. Why does she hate me so much? She doesn't hate you, Waverly. Aunt Diane's voice is gentle. She just doesn't see you the way she sees Serena. To Patricia, Serena is the daughter who validates her, the one who makes her look good. You're the one who reminds her of everything she couldn't control. That's not fair. No, Aunt Diane agrees. It's not, but it's the truth. We sit in silence for a moment. Then Aunt Diane reaches into her bag and pulls out a folded piece of paper. Thomas gave me this a year ago. He asked me to hold on to it in case something happened. I think now is the right time to give it to you. I unfold the paper. It's a handwritten letter in Uncle Thomas's careful script. Waverly, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and someone tried to take what I left you. Don't let them. You deserve this house and this money not because you're perfect, but because you showed up. You cared when no one else did. You asked how I was doing and you meant it. That's worth more than anything your parents ever gave Serena. Be strong, be stubborn, and don't apologize for taking what's yours. Love, Uncle Thomas. My vision blurs. I fold the letter carefully and put it in my bag next to the trust documents. Thank you, I whisper. Aunt Diane squeezes my hand. He was proud of you, Waverly, and for what it's worth, so am I. If this story is making you angry right now, if you've ever been the overlooked one while the golden child got everything handed to them, hit subscribe to support Waverly, because she deserves to win this. The calls start that night. First, it's my father. Waverly, we need to find a compromise. This is tearing your mother apart. Then Serena. I didn't know about the trust. You have to believe me. Please don't do this. Then my mother. If you go through with this, you will never be welcome in this family again. Do you understand me? Never. I don't answer any of them. I sit in my apartment in Stamford and eat leftover Thai food and read Uncle Thomas's letter over and over until I've memorized every word. The next morning, Eleanor calls. Waverly, I wanted to give you an update. Your parents have requested a mediation session. They want to discuss a settlement. A settlement? I sit up. For what? The house is mine. The money is mine. There's nothing to settle. I agree, Eleanor says, but they're claiming emotional distress and undue influence on Thomas's part. They're suggesting that he was manipulated into creating the trust. Manipulated by who? Me? That's the implication. I feel something hot and sharp rise in my chest. I was the only one who visited him, Eleanor. I was the only one who cared. I know, and we have evidence to support that. But they're going to make this difficult if you don't agree to mediation. Let them. My voice is steady. I'm not giving up what's mine. Eleanor is quiet for a moment. Good, because I didn't think you should either. She tells me she'll handle the legal response, and that I should expect things to get uglier before they get better. I thank her and hang up. That afternoon, I drive back to Old Greenwich. This time, I go inside the house. It smells like dust and old wood, and faintly like the lavender sachets Uncle Thomas used to keep in the linen closet. The furniture is still here. His reading chair by the window, the kitchen table where we used to play cards, the bookshelf full of engineering manuals and mystery novels. I walk through each room slowly, touching the walls, the door frames, the banister on the stairs. This house is mine. Not because I fought for it, but because someone loved me enough to make sure I'd be taken care of. I find a box in the upstairs bedroom, labeled Waverly. Inside are photos of the two of us, at my college graduation, at a diner in Stamford, sitting on the porch with iced tea. There's also a birthday card he sent me 5 years ago with a note inside. You're going to do great things, kid. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. I sit on the floor and cry for the first time since the meeting in Eleanor's office. That evening, my phone rings again. This time, it's a number I don't recognize. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Waverly? It's Serena. She's calling from a different phone. Please don't hang up. What do you want? I need to tell you something. Her voice is shaking. Mom lied to me about the amendment. She told me Uncle Thomas asked for it before he went into hospice. She said he wanted me to have the house because I was struggling financially. and you were doing fine. And you believed her? Yes, Serena's voice cracks. I wanted to believe her, because it felt good to finally be the one who got something without having to beg for it. I close my eyes. Serena, do you have any idea how that sounds? I know, she's crying now. I know it sounds terrible, but I didn't know about the trust, Waverly. I swear I didn't. If I had known Uncle Thomas wanted you to have it, I would have said something. Would you? Silence. I don't know, she whispers finally. Maybe not. And that makes me a terrible person, doesn't it? Yes, I say, it does. I'm sorry, she's sobbing now. I'm so sorry, Waverly. I didn't know how bad it was, how much they treated you like you didn't matter. I was so used to being the favorite that I didn't see what it cost you. I want to feel something. Sympathy, maybe. Or forgiveness. But all I feel is exhausted. Serena, I say quietly, I'm keeping the house. I'm keeping the money. And I'm done pretending we're a family that cares about each other. Waverly, please. Goodbye, Serena. I hang up. And this time, I block the number. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in Eleanor's office again. This time, it's not just my parents and Serena. There's a mediator, a man in his 60s named Robert Chen, who speaks in the kind of calm, measured tones designed to diffuse conflict. And there's another lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in a gray suit who my parents hired to represent them. Eleanor sits beside me, a folder of documents in front of her. She's already warned me that my parents are going to try to paint me as manipulative, ungrateful, and undeserving. She's told me to stay calm and let her do the talking. But I've brought my own evidence. Robert Chen starts the session with a preamble about finding common ground and preserving family relationships. My mother nods along like she's listening. My father stares at the table. Serena won't look at me. Their lawyer speaks first. My clients believe that the trust was created under questionable circumstances. Thomas Hart was elderly and isolated, and there's reason to believe he was unduly influenced by Ms. Waverly Hart, who had regular access to him during a vulnerable period. Eleanor doesn't blink. Thomas Hart was 68 years old when he created the trust, 4 years before his death. He was of sound mind, employed and living independently. The trust was reviewed and notarized by 2 witnesses who had no connection to Waverly. Your claim has no merit. The lawyer smiles thinly. Nevertheless, my clients feel that the distribution is unfair given Serena Hart's financial needs and her close relationship with the family. Close relationship, I repeat. When's the last time Serena visited Uncle Thomas? Serena's face flushes. I'll tell you, I continue. 3 years ago, at Christmas, she stayed for 20 minutes, took a photo for Instagram, and left. That's not true, Serena says quickly. I pull out my phone and open a folder I've labeled Proof. I scroll to a screenshot of Serena's Instagram post from December 2022. In the photo, she's standing in front of Uncle Thomas's Christmas tree, smiling. The caption reads, "Quick stop at Uncle T's before heading to the city. Family first." I hold up the screen. The metadata shows this was posted at 2:47 p.m. I was there that day. You arrived at 2:30 and left at 2:50. You didn't even stay long enough to eat the cookies he baked. Serena looks at the table. And for the record, I continue. I visited Uncle Thomas every month for 2 years. I have text messages, photos, and receipts from the diner where we had lunch every 3rd Saturday. I can provide all of it. Eleanor opens her folder and slides a printed document across the table. This is a log of visits to Thomas Hart's home, compiled from his personal calendar and corroborated by his neighbor, Mrs. Adeline Porter, who lives next door. Waverly Hart is listed 63 times over the course of 2 years. Serena Hart is listed twice. Mr. and Mrs. Hart are listed 4 times, all within the final 6 months of Thomas's life. My mother's jaw tightens. We were busy. We had other obligations. I was busy too, I say. I worked full-time. I paid rent. I didn't have anyone covering my expenses or bailing me out when things got hard. But I still showed up. Because you wanted the inheritance, my mother snaps. You were manipulating him the entire time. I didn't know about the trust until 2 weeks ago. My voice is calm. I didn't know Uncle Thomas had left me anything until Eleanor read the letter. I showed up because I loved him, not because I wanted something from him. Robert Chen clears his throat. Mrs. Hart, do you have evidence that your daughter manipulated your brother-in-law? My mother's lawyer leans forward. We believe the pattern of visits speaks for itself. Eleanor pulls out another document. This is a letter written by Thomas Hart to Waverly 6 months before his death. It was mailed to her home address and saved. Would you like me to read it aloud? Yes, I say. Eleanor reads. Dear Waverly, I know your mother thinks I'm being foolish, but I want you to have the house when I'm gone. You're the only one who ever made me feel like I mattered. You asked about my life, my work, my stories. You didn't just show up because you had to. You showed up because you cared. Don't let anyone take that from you. Love, Uncle Thomas. The room is silent. That letter was mailed to Waverly before the trust was finalized, Eleanor says. It was unsolicited. She didn't ask for it. She didn't request anything from Thomas. He chose to leave her the house because she was the only one who treated him like family. My mother's face has gone white. He was confused. He wasn't confused, I interrupt. He was clear, and you knew it. That's why you tried to bury the trust. That's why you filed the amendment while he was dying. You knew if I found out the truth, I'd fight back. You're being dramatic, my mother says. No. I lean forward. I'm being honest, and you can't stand it. Eleanor slides one more document across the table. This is a copy of an email sent by Patricia Hart to Eleanor Price 3 months ago, requesting an expedited amendment to Thomas Hart's will. The email specifically states, "Please process this quickly before Waverly asks questions." My father closes his eyes. My mother stares at the paper like it's a bomb. You wanted me to sign away my inheritance without knowing the trust existed, I say. You lied to me, manipulated me, and tried to steal what Uncle Thomas left me. And now you're sitting here pretending you're the victims. We were trying to help Serena, my father says quietly. By destroying me, I look at him. Dad, I needed help too. I needed support. I needed someone to show up for me the way I showed up for Uncle Thomas. But you never did. And now you're angry because he did. Robert Chen speaks carefully. Mr. and Mrs. Hart, based on the evidence presented, it appears that the trust was created legally and without coercion. If you continue to contest this, you may be opening yourselves up to legal consequences, including charges of attempted estate fraud. My mother's lawyer whispers something to her. My mother shakes her head, but her hands are trembling. Eleanor looks at me. Waverly, what do you want? I take a breath. I want the house. I want the money. And I want them to stop pretending they care about me when all they care about is control. My mother stands abruptly. You're making a mistake, Waverly. If you do this, you lose us. Forever. I meet her eyes. I lost you a long time ago, Mom. I just didn't realize it until now. She walks out. My father and Serena follow. The door closes behind them, and the room is quiet. Eleanor turns to me. Are you okay? I nod. Yeah, I think I am. 3 months later, I'm standing in the kitchen of the old Greenwich house, painting the walls a soft, warm gray. The hydrangeas outside are in full bloom, and the windows are open, letting in the sound of birds and the smell of salt air from Long Island Sound. The house is mine now, legally, officially, undeniably mine. The title transferred last week, and the $400,000 is sitting in an account I opened specifically for this. My future. Whatever that looks like. My parents didn't fight the trust in the end. Their lawyer advised them that pursuing legal action would only make things worse, and Eleanor made it clear that if they continued, she'd file a complaint for attempted fraud. They backed down quietly, and I haven't heard from them since the mediation. Serena sent me one last text. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope one day you can forgive me." I didn't reply. Maybe one day I will, but not today. Aunt Diane helped me move in. She brought paint samples, cleaning supplies, and a casserole that we ate on the porch while the sun set over the neighborhood. She didn't ask me if I was okay. She just stayed. "Your uncle would be proud of you," she said. "I hope so." "I know so," she smiled. "You stood up for yourself. That's harder than people think." I've started making plans for the house. I'm going to repaint the upstairs bedrooms, replace the old carpet, and turn Uncle Thomas's office into a reading room. I'm not selling it. This house is mine, and I'm going to make it a home. The money is another story. Part of me wants to save it, to hold on to it, like a safety net I never had before. But another part of me, the part that sounds like Uncle Thomas, wants to use it to build something. Maybe go back to school. Maybe start a business. Maybe just give myself permission to dream bigger than survival. For the first time in my life, I have options, and no one can take them away from me. My phone buzzes. It's a text from a number I don't recognize. "Hi, Waverly, this is Eleanor. Just wanted to check in and see how you're settling in. Let me know if you need anything." I smile and text back, "I'm good. Thank you for everything." A moment later, she replies, "You earned it. Enjoy your house." I set my phone down and look around the kitchen. The walls are half painted. The furniture is mismatched, and there's still a box of Uncle Thomas's books in the corner that I haven't unpacked yet. But it's mine. Every inch of it. I walk out onto the porch and sit in the wicker chair where Uncle Thomas and I used to drink iced tea. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, and the neighborhood is quiet except for the sound of a dog barking somewhere down the street. I think about my mother's final words. "If you do this, you lose us, forever." She was wrong. I didn't lose them. I let them go, and that's not the same thing. I pull out my phone and open the Notes app. I start typing. Things I want to do now that I have the house. 1. Repaint the upstairs. 2. Plant a garden. 3. Invite Aunt Diane for dinner every week. 4. Learn to bake the way Uncle Thomas did. 5. Stop apologizing for taking up space. I read the list twice, then save it. The truth is, I didn't just inherit a house and some money. I inherited permission to build a life that's mine. A life where I don't have to beg for scraps or accept whatever's left over after everyone else has taken their fill. I inherited freedom, and that's worth more than anything my parents could have given me. So that's how it ended. I got the house, I got the money, and I got something even more important, my dignity back. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think I was justified, or should I have just signed to keep the family together? Drop your honest answer in the comments, and if you stayed till the end, hit like and subscribe, because stories like this don't get told enough. Thanks for being here.